Welcome back, everyone. It is LaughNgamez here, and today we're back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 cast. I know I haven't been exactly super consistent with my casts lately, mainly because replays have been a pain to find, but recently, the spawning tool recently did an invitational and posted tons of replays, so I'm going to be casting lots of these and any other replays I can find. So, without further ado, spawning down in the bottom left of the map, Dusk Towers, it is Elevate's MaSa, the blue Terran player, and the red Protoss player. Spawning up in the top right, it is Flipside's Bales. So we've got ourselves a Terran versus Protoss between two of the more known North American players. These guys are very good and very consistent, is the way to put it, at the top of the North American scene. So we really know that North America isn't the #1 StarCraft 2 region. However, these guys are still very consistent when it comes to it. So, and for these player styles, we can really see anything, as Bales can be known to do all-ins. Bales can be known to take games longer. And it seems like that's actually going to be the situation between these two players, as we are getting a very standard opening here. Reaper expand versus Gateway expand here. Not even fully mining. Bale's only just starting to fully mine his gas, so he's not rushing any tech or anything, as we can see. And meanwhile, MaSa just getting up a Reaper, as this is one of the larger maps. It is Dusk Towers. It is a map that's been around for a while, so players are familiar with it. Cheeses aren't exactly potent with it, so it's not like players are going to be completely rushing each other or anything compared to other maps. So right now we see these two players actually going for a scout, MaSa with his Reaper and Bales moving out with a probe, but this probe's actually moving to the top left here. This might be to miss the scout of MaSa's Reaper, or it could be to proxy some tech. So what I said earlier could have been wrong about all the cheeses. So we could actually see some sort of building go up here for Bales, and that is going to be the case here. He's going for a pylon. He's going for a pylon here, so he's going to throw down a tech of choice. I assume this is going to be a robotics bay here, because I actually did see him go for a similar cheese here. However, this Reaper for MaSa is actually going to get a perfect scout off on this. Bales went for this cheese. However, and then MaSa scouts it perfectly with his Reaper and scouting SCV. So MaSa knows exactly what was going on. He knows Bales was going to cheese him, and Bales is not too happy about having that scouted. However, MaSa shot that pylon, so Bales knew that it had been scouted. MaSa could have, if MaSa had held off a second and that pylon had finished, that would have been a useless pylon. Unfortunately, however, Unfortunately for MaSa, Bales did have his eye on the ball, so he did cancel that pylon, and he just threw up this Stargate at home. But this is going to put MaSa on high alert. Well, apparently not, as MaSa now has a third command center on the way, so he is still playing it very greedy. However, he knows that any tech for Bales has been heavily delayed. However, MaSa's still going for this Cyclone here, which is a very defensive tool. It can hold off, it can kill warp prisms, it can kill oracles. It can chase down stalkers. It's very great for early defense for Terran. So MaSa is still playing it somewhat safe even behind this. It's not like he's skipping units or just rushing upgrades or anything here. While it is a greedy build, he's doing the standard Terran style of this and playing it safe by all means while going greedy. He's continuously making Marines, getting this Cyclone. Well, we might see him start up another Cyclone perhaps, or a Widow Mine, or perhaps a Siege Tank. Really, he can go for anything. He's just likely going to continuously produce units here. So we did see an Oracle coming out for MaSa. However, MaSa got in with that Reaper earlier, and he saw an Oracle making in the Stargate. So MaSa knows exactly what's coming here. And oh, look at this. This game has already deferred from the standard, and now we see MaSa going for a 4th command center at the 4.5 minute mark, hidden out on the map. And this is not a common strategy by Terran. Ooh, we actually see though MaSa almost picking off that Oracle with that Cyclone. It just got out of the range before he scanned, so MaSa actually wasted a scan there. But is it really going to matter if he wastes a scan? He's getting up his 4th base at the 4 minute mark. So for Bales is going to be thinking, all right, this is a Terran standard 3cc build. I'll try to get some damage done with this Oracle. And he does kill actually about 4 workers there here. So it's not like Bales is in a terrible position here. He followed up with this Oracle. He's not going to get plenty of damage done as MaSa got a perfect scout on it. However, he is getting just a good amount of damage here, as he did already get up this third base. So it's not like he's super far behind. Meanwhile, Bales is thinking right now that MaSa is just slowly taking his third command center here. Meanwhile, MaSa already has up his fourth orbital, just about to finish, and MaSa is going to drop all his mules here. He's going to probably continuously produce SCVs off this command center, maybe possibly transfer them later on. However, this is actually going to be really cool to watch as MaSa decides how he's going to play this style. He's not going to go for some early aggression. This is very greedy. Later on in the game, though, his economy is likely going to take off, as right now, if Bales saw that MaSa was building like a fourth command center here, or already started a fourth command center, Bales would likely move across the map and kill MaSa here. And Bales is actually moving out, however. He's not going to be committing a lot to an attack here. He's getting up tech. He's going to be getting up upgrades. So this is very, very standard as Protoss goes, pursuing into this mid game. Meanwhile, MaSa is just happy as ever, just starting to mine off this base, starting to drop his first mule. He actually supply walked a bit, so MaSa is behind on tech, he's behind on supply, and he's behind on workers right now. So, but that won't be the case for long, as he's happily mining off this fourth base. However, we see Bales actually managing to push in, doing some damage here, gonna possibly force the lift off for this command center, kill off a few SCVs, and actually moving in with these adepts here. Not going to let them finish shading though. So this is some great damage coming out for Bales, and Bales is going to think he's in a great position here. However, MaSa already got his fourth command center up, more and more SCVs starting on the 4 mules mining. So if we look at the income tab here, MaSa is ahead, where when Bales thinks he's only on 2 bases, and Bales is thinking that he's miles ahead. Bales might catch onto this, and Bales is actually building 4 cannons at the front here. This is somewhat bizarre. He's also got a 5th somewhere else. So Bales is preparing for all sorts of drops, as he's seen that MaSa does not have his 3rd command center out. Normally a Terran would have lots more than this. However, MaSa really has gotten his... It's not like MaSa is going for any drops or anything. He's just happily starting to saturate this base, and he's going to start saturating this 4th base here. But meanwhile, MaSa is now actually building up quite a scary bioforce. He's got his 1-1 upgrade, so he does have an upgrade advantage. However, he has not started an armory. Oh, there he is. Pardon me, MaSa is on the ball. I am not. So he will be starting his 2-2 in a second here. So, earlier, as I said, Bales is going for this absurd amount of cannons here. However, this has made it clear now that Bales is starting to go into Tempest. He's got a fleet beacon up. He's getting up more Stargates. Bales is going for the late game Protoss here. He sees the position that MaSa is in, and he's thinking, alright, you're going to be on a very low economy. I'm going to be able to make so much more stuff than you, so I should really be able to be safe about this here. However, if we look here, we're going to see MaSa actually start to move in. He has made quite a few units here, as he does have this continuous extra income from this 4th base. Regardless of that extra income though, Bales has gotten up to Storm, which is an absolute nightmare for Terrans. Some of MaSa's units were caught in the stasis ward, which should not have been the case, as MaSa actually saw that with a scan. So a bit sloppy there from MaSa. However, he is going to still try to trade out all that he can. That extra buy, oh, such a storm coming down from Bales though. MaSa trying to get any trade he can, however, that is not going to work. And now MaSa is forced back. And while MaSa has this 4th command center, yeah, it's fancy, he's not really completely always been building SCVs on this. He's not necessarily dropping mules on it as hard as he should be. He's actually could drop about 4 mules. He's actually mining out his 3rd base here with the mules instead of this extra base. So I guess MaSa plans on this base being around longer than it would seem. But regardless of this, Bales is still teching towards this scary Protoss composition of High Templar and Tempest, which is going to shut down Liberators, it's going to shut down drops. But speaking of drops here, we see MaSa moving out with 6 Medivacs, 5 of them full, and he's going to go for a huge drop in the main base. However, this 1 Void Ray going to be there, be able to catch this drop as MaSa moves by this. So MaSa is going to have to boost right by this. Hopefully he saves his boost till he's ready to go and just He's gonna blitz it for the natural here, but Bales is gonna see this. Bales is gonna go into panic mode. He's gonna start warping in units. He's got a High Templar here so he could feed back some of these medivacs, but he chooses to storm instead. He's all this bio dropping into cannons and photon overcharge pylons, so a lot of this bio being shaved off at the start of things. However, a Widow Mine burrowing. This bio is starting to drop as much as it can. However, there's only 2 Marauders left. All the medivacs are going down, flying straight into the Tempest. Feedback's raining down in this game. While MaSa sure pulled off a cool move at the start of the game with this bizarre 4th command center, he is just simply behind because of all this, because of this absurd amount of Protoss here, as Bales was allowed to tech freely. However, now we see MaSa start to shave off probes here and there. He's actually killed off about, I'd say, 10 there. However, Bales was on above 80 probes before that. He's going to be getting up his 5th base here, so soon Bales is going to be on more bases than MaSa. And now, oh my god, we see Bales going for carriers. This is unseen, and these carriers will be out in quite a while as they take almost 90 seconds to spawn in. However, this composition for Bales is just getting more and more scary here. MaSa trying to do what Terran does, and that's just create a never-ending stream of bio and attack. And now we see MaSa is actually just going for a +2 armor upgrade. He did not start as +2 attack. This is actually a bit of a mistake here by MaSa. However, I'm not sure how much this will actually matter, as Bales is just in such a death ball composition, and Bio will hardly be able to fight with these carriers in the first place. So now, however, MaSa has seen this carrier, so he knows what he's going to be going up against. He's like, really the thing that counters carriers the most is mass liberators. Mass liberators and mines, however, and we see mines coming out. But there's Tempest and Storm and no Ghost. This is so hard for MaSa to crack here. Really, he's going to want to try and deny Bales taking this 5th base. So if he's aware of this, he really needs to be able to push in and kill that off. Now we actually see this base of MaSa starting to mine out, as it has had a fair few mules dropped on it. And it's just been slowly mining since about the 4-minute mark here. MaSa now starting up what is his 5th base. His main base starting to mine out, so he definitely needs that 5th base up. And if we look at the income tabs here, MaSa is still ahead, so he's mining more. However, he's not necessarily investing all this money he's getting into a great tech here as Terran. He's now just starting to get up Vikings, which are not good versus carriers unless they focus them off. They'll be good versus Tempest, so really he's going to need sort of a Viking. He's going to need a Viking Liberator mix to deal with this, and now he's just pushing in with his Marauders, which are starting to be shredded by the Tempest. However, we see these Interceptors pushing them back, and now a mine detonating on the Interceptors, so dealing some damage to those. However, we see this, 3 carriers on the way, only 2 Vikings right now for MaSa. He's making Vikings to deal with this. However, there's so many carriers already on the map. 4 carriers on the way, which is, that's 8 times 4, 32 Interceptors, so that's really scary. However, MaSa doing the best that he can with this inferior bio composition, and he actually manages to pick off this 5th base, which is so critical. It's going to stop Bales from getting a huge bank. It dealt some good damage here, and now MaSa is in a good position now. He's picking off that 5th base. Sure, his composition is still going to be worse, however, it's really going to stop the exponential growth of Bales, really. Lots of bio units going down to a Storm and carriers here. One thing that I actually noticed here, though, is Bales is not making too many High Templar, which, okay, here we go. He warps in 4. Oh, Widow Mines that were not cleaned up, though, detonating on a few of those Adepts. So as I was saying before, Bales not getting a lot of High Templar, which is sort of bizarre, as carriers are good versus bio. However, this Tempests are really there to pick off Liberators, which MaSa is not making. And what really needs to be done to take out this bio is this is a lot of Marines, which could really start to challenge this army, is lots of Storm coming down. So only 2 High Templar here, 4 Bales. I'd like to maybe see 3 or 4, but he's still got a scary army with these carriers. So we're going to see MaSa try to move in. He's just completely eating one of the Storms here as he charges in, doing everything he can, starting to focus down the carriers with his Vikings here. However, they are forced back. The Vikings completely shredded by these Interceptors. So many Interceptors just in pursuit. And now MaSa's supply is plummeting. His 5th base is lifted off. It's possibly going to go down. The Vikings trying to do whatever they can. However, there is less Vikings than carriers at this point. Manages to shave off one of the carriers. However, there is Tempest behind this. There is Adepts, Templar really so scary for MaSa. Bales might pull back after killing this 5th base, thinking he's in a good position, and this is another spot which this extra base for MaSa would sort of help him out. And we're actually just going to see that. So MaSa going to float over his main base to his natural location. Meanwhile, these Widow Mines on the other side of the map have still not been cleaned up. Another Widow Mine connecting with a carrier there, and another mine going off. Wow, those mines managed to fire off quite a few shots in their life. And now we see Bales just getting up this 5th base. So Bales not going to be in an amazing position economy-wise. MaSa technically mining more right now with all these mules he's been dropping. And now he's floated over that command center as Terran can do. So it's not like MaSa's economy was stifled too much. Meanwhile, Bales, however, is only just getting up his 5th base when he's been mined out on his main for a while, starting to mine out his natural. So if MaSa can hang on in this game and start producing enough units to deal with this composition, assuming Bales doesn't come in and kill him right now, which he very well may do. Now, we see mines going off, hitting interceptors. However, there is really nothing to deal with these mass interceptors. The only thing that Terran really has which can deal with a maxed out carrier army is lots of Liberators or possibly battle cruisers. However, those are essentially useless because of High Templar. So we see these Vikings for MaSa trying to, that's what he's sticking to, but he's just gonna GG here. We saw MaSa try to beat this. This was such a bizarre game here. MaSa with this extra base for so long, still simply not able to overcome the deathball composition of Bales. I mean, he tried to do everything he could there, but well, he didn't necessarily try everything if I really speak about it, as he didn't make any Liberators, which is understandable because there's Tempest. However, Liberators are a very good counter to carriers, and Liberators are really only weak versus Tempest when they're trying to siege up and jockey for position. Liberators anti-air could have helped deal with these Tempest arguably better than these Vikings. At least they would have cleaned up the interceptors so the bio could have engaged. However, really, it was just too much from Bales. He went for a beeline for this great tech with these Templars. MaSa went for his own insane investment into economy and the late game. However, it never really paid off for MaSa. If we actually look, though, there, he has such a huge bank. So anyway, thank you guys for watching here. This has been another cast from me. I'll actually likely cast another game right after this, so the always game's going to be going up on my channel. If you like the content, feel free to like. I'm always open to feedback, which is very greatly appreciated. And as I said earlier, I'm always putting out lots of content on my channel, so feel free to subscribe. See you guys next time.